Welcome to Public and Private Passions, a documentary series on artists and artisans living and working in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Hi, I'm your host, David Zoffoli, Executive Director of Creative Haverhill. Like every town and city, Haverhill has a vibrant community of artists and artisans that make up a creative workforce. These are professionals in a variety of fields: marketing, architecture, design, performing arts and music, visual arts and crafts, film, gaming, publishing, and cultural preservation. You may be familiar with some of these folks, and there are others who, for one reason or another, have mostly kept their talents hidden from the public eye. And you'll find out why. One thing's for sure, public and private passion for the arts is all around us. In Public and Private Passions, we'll take a behind-the-scenes look at the passion that drives people to make something from nothing. It's a first-hand look into the creative process, and fortunately for us, creativity is everywhere. What's your private passion? Do you sing in the shower? Do you shake your wild thing on a night on the town? Do you have a pottery studio downstairs and you dream of having a business where you'll sell beautiful ceramic pots to the public? Today, you're going to meet three regular people who in their day jobs are a lawyer, a banker, and a curator. We're going to meet Scott Cote, president of Pentucket Bank. We'll meet Jan Williams, who is a curator at the Buttonwoods Museum. And we'll meet finally J. Cleary, Esquire. All three of these people have private passions for the arts and culture in Haverhill. And wait till you see what they are.
Yeah, I think when you think of arts and culture, and I think of Haverhill, I think of the opportunity it brings to mold the business community and the community in general. What it does is it really brings the community together with the business community, and the two don't have to be separately distinct. I think there's all kinds of opportunity for businesses to thrive and the community to benefit from those types of activities. And you know, when I think of some of the things that I like to do, I mean, I've got a passion for golf, and that's right here. There's a number of great golf courses in town. I've got a passion for photography. There's a lot of great venues here to take photos of and to be part of the community, and there's a lot of community events that you can take advantage of from a photography standpoint. And to me, that's where you really pull the community together. Yeah, I think what Creative Haverhill is doing is really bringing all the stakeholders together and saying, here's an opportunity to have us be the central point to help you share information. In a way, I'm going to help promote it and I'll help make it better. And as a group of activities together, we can promote Haverhill in a totally different way. I take my camera a lot of different places, and a lot of what I do is probably outside the area because I'm from New Hampshire and I love the mountains, and I spend a lot of time up in the lakes and the mountains. I'm passionate about boating. I'm on my boat all the time, as you've experienced. And so there's a lot of great landscape views. But I think equally the Merrimack River brings a whole huge opportunity down here to take advantage of some of the great scenes and activities that the river has in the past been part of, and I think hopefully in the future will be even a bigger part of. I think just as an example, I mean, I'm active in the Rotary Duck Race. I'm an active Rotarian, and I've brought my camera and we go out in the boat and we're capturing those ducks, and we're taking photos of the ducks coming over the bridge and those types of things. So, but there's so many activities that take place in Haverhill, and I always bring it on the golf course with me. And I'm always taking pictures. I mean, there's a lot of pictures of loons out there. So I'll go slow and try to creep up on a pair of loons, and I got some great shots of that. My daughter's got passionate about it now because I probably have thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures. I probably have 50 photo albums at home, chock full. And whether they're family photos or they're landscapes or golf pictures or whatever it is, I'm the type of person that likes to print them out afterwards. Don't always want to have them on my phone or my computer or something else where you can't enjoy them and share them. So oftentimes I make them for family members and double or triple, and or golf buddies, and I send them pictures, I blow them up, and those types of things, and people can enjoy them then. Yeah. I just cruise. I mean, I cruise with tunes. I mean, I love music, and music in that great venue of being on the lake on a gorgeous day, the sun shining, and your radio blaring with. And I like all kinds of music. I like oldies, but I like a lot of the contemporary stuff. And I've even been converted by my daughters and my wife to enjoying country music as well, which I never thought I'd make that change. But I just appreciate classical as well. And to me, it depends what mood I'm in and how fast I want to go. If I want to just cruise at a slow pace and bring a bottle of wine and some cheese and go out with my wife and have a sunset cruise, that's one thing. But if it's during a beautiful day, then the radio's blaring and I put the playlist to cruising tunes, and then I'm out there having fun. It's really about taking advantage of, as I see it, beautiful surroundings and making the best of it. And I think that's a lot about what you guys are doing with Creative Haverhill. There's a lot of good people around here doing a lot of good things, a lot of good agencies, and many of them working in their own silos before, and having an organization that is affiliated with the city. The city's passionate about making Haverhill a tourism spot and a destination city, and I think we're at the just at the crossroads of the redevelopment of what's taking place downtown, and I think there's a lot of positive things happening from a lot of different organizations. You look at Team Haverhill and some of the things they've done with the murals and the artwork and the shoe liberation and a number of things, and the chamber has been an active player on the business side, but also on the event side with Kids Fest and a number of other events. And to pull that all together with Creative Haverhill being the central group or organization to help promote it all together in a non-threatening way to everybody, I think is very exciting for the city.
Thanks. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Stylish from the 20s or the 30s, maybe the early 30s. I'm not really good with fashion history.
I do know that a lot of my interest in aesthetics tend to go to the 1920s to 1940s. It's my favorite time period. So these hats are made so that they can be worn either this way or turned around the other way. Kind of hard to do without a mirror, because putting on a hat and wearing a hat is an art all in itself. Your hair is supposed to be a certain way, and your hat should have attitude. So, and this was actually my very first hat that I made. I have to figure out which is the back. These are not reversible, no, but definitely need to be worn with attitude. I think too many people put on a hat and they wear it on the back of their head, and I think once you're over the age of 12, no woman should wear their hat like this. I also am not a big fan of wearing it straight so that the brim is parallel to the floor. I mean, maybe a cowboy hat you could wear that way, but it's got to be tilted and dipped with a little attitude. I learned from my craft from Master Milliner Jean O'Hara in Boston. She taught at the School of Fashion Design and also at UMass Boston, and I was fortunate enough to take a one-year-long course with her at the School of Fashion Design. And she retired probably about 5 or 6 years after my class that I took, and they were looking, the School of Fashion Design was looking for a new instructor, and I asked them if they were interested in giving me a chance, and they said yes for their fall program. So over the course of the summer, I bought every millinery instruction book I could find in the marketplace and read and crammed and made prototypes and all summer long, and taught the course and just kind of fell in love with it. I try to show an example of every process that I want to teach the students. In development, in stages of development, I think that it's a really good visual tool because the students sometimes they learn by different ways. Some are visual learners and some read voraciously the handouts and books that I recommend. So however it's going to take me to reach them and tap into their creative spirit, I'm going to try it. Types of hats are buckram frames, and buckram is a very loose weave. It's very stiff. It almost looks loose like cheesecloth, except that it's much stiffer than that. And it can be cut and sewn in pattern-made hats, but it can also be blocked on a form just like straw and felt. Another older form that's not used too much today, except in theater applications, are wired frame hats. They can be made very sturdy so that they make good props for stage. This is cinema. It's a banana fiber. It's like straw, very lightweight straw. And actually this is not sized, so it's very pliable. And it's sculpted, and it can be sculpted into many forms. This just happens to be two that I chose. And cinema is it's a abaca or a banana fiber. It looks a little bit like buckram or straw, very lightweight straw. It depends on what kind of a hat. With steamed and blocked straw, the straw comes already woven in a kind of a dome-shaped form. You have a crown block and a brim block, and it's stretched, it's heated with steam and stretched over the blocks and formed until it's dried, and it's sized to help it hold its shape. And steamed and blocked wool felt is done very similarly. I wish that hats were making a comeback. I think that until we have an American role model or icon who wears hats, I just don't ever think it's going to take in the United States. When Princess Diana was alive, I think there was an uptick in the sales of hats. I don't know if people were buying them and not wearing them. I don't think in public functions I ever saw people in the United States wearing hats. I know a lot of people in the millinery industry are pinning their hopes on Kate Middleton and wearing hats, but when she comes to the United States, she tends not to wear hats. So I don't hold out a hope that it's ever going to be what it used to be.
Someone who doesn't know Haverhill, what would you say?
I think I'd say what you see is not what you get. And by that I mean, you could take a walk around the city or a drive around the city and see, for example, down around Water Street. And you'd say, well, there's not a heck of a lot here, without knowing that the first settlers who came to Haverhill in 1640 and the first settlement of Haverhill was between basically the Buttonwoods Museum and White's Corner, which was then referred to as Elm Corner. And that was a busy, thriving, vibrant part of the city, which also had wharves. And it was almost a seaport town in many ways because the river was the transportation. So that's a good example of what you see is not what you necessarily think is the history of the city. Absolutely, we've got the Haverhill Trails Committee, which has set out a book with the various trails we can walk. And you know, here we are in the year 2012, so what a family's going to do in tough economic times? Well, I think if they're smart, they're going to do things together. They're going to get the kids outside. They're going to get them active. They're going to get them recreating, so to speak. So they could go up to Winnie Castle, made out of stone in the late 1800s by a guy who was absolutely brilliant and decided he wanted to create a stone castle similar to one he had seen in Scotland. So you've got all these little treasures, which we call Haverhill's cultural treasures, and we banded together to work together to make sure people understand there are things to do here. Whittier's birthplace, there's another treasure, and it's because of the curator, Gus Roosh, who will engage anybody who goes there for an hour or longer with stories of John Greenleaf Whittier, and all of a sudden you realize it's not just a wizened white-haired old man with a beard, which are most of the portrayals of Whittier, but there was this young kid who lived on a farm in Haverhill, didn't want to be a farmer, he liked to write, but the whole story of Whittier, particularly if you look at his history as an abolitionist, and then see what effect he had not only through New England and Haverhill area, but throughout the country, you realize, wow, there's a lot more to John Greenleaf Whittier than I ever thought. So I think it's all about exploring and discovering. If you think about the city of Boston, there is no museum of the city of Boston, which I've always found disconcerting to say the least. There's a lot of museums in Boston, but there is no City of Boston museum like you might find in London, New York City, and other places. So having said that, we've got a museum called the Buttonwoods. It was named after the trees that were planted by a fellow named Hugh Tallant, who was a caretaker for that family that owned that house, and it is a repository of all of the Haverhill history. It's set up on a hill overlooking the Merrimack River, so many people sometimes aren't even aware that the museum is there. It's there for them to come in and explore because it's just an attic and a cellar full of Haverhill history, some of which has been documented, others which still needs to be discovered, really. Well, I think what will happen is as more and more people discover Haverhill in the downtown area and find out, for example, along Washington Street, Wingate Street, and the alleys, there's some pretty nice little restaurants here. And they have character, and they have individuality, and they're not in a strip mall. Up further, not only can you see the restaurants, but now you see that some artists have set up some galleries and shops. And so you can appreciate the artwork, including the murals in the sides of the buildings, not to mention the Essex Street Gateway mural, which is magnificent. I personally like that. I like older cities. I like to walk around. I don't care if it's Portsmouth, New Hampshire, I'm visiting Charleston, South Carolina, or it might be in New York City, or it could be out in Pittsfield or Great Barrington. I like walking around and seeing what's out there because it's not all the same.
If I'd been out till 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Well, one of the shows started in the year 2002 is called When I'm 64. And I started initially that program to interview people about different programs for seniors or people of older ages, whether it had to do with housing or health care or certain things like that. When I'm 64 is brought to you by the Breakfast Exchange Club of Greater Haverhill, a group of men and women working together to benefit older adults residing in our community through educational opportunities, community service projects, and direct funding for unmet needs. Well, one year when I had started the program, I started talking with a couple of people who were older, and they were telling me about certain areas of the city and how things used to be and what it was like. One thing led to another. It's kind of snowballed, and I would find people, or people would have a conversation with me and talk about jobs they had or places they lived or things they did. So I did a program of basically oral history, oftentimes with photographs, and I've just been continuing that. Welcome to I Get Around. I Get Around is an occasional series on Haverhill Community Television that focuses on people, places, ideas, things, and events. The other program that I've done is called I Get Around, which gets me out of the studio with a camera and a tripod, and we just go out and photograph different places, different ideas, different events. For example, we did a show. I went up in a Ford tri-motor airplane about 5 years ago on a flight over Lawrence, Methuen, and Haverhill. I'd never been in a tri-motor plane. It's the one you saw in the Indiana Jones film with the three propellers. It was fascinating. And the other program I do is one on the law. I'm an attorney. So I decided in 1999 to do a program to educate and give people an idea of what the law's all about, so as not to make it so mystical for people and hard to understand. So I'd pick a subject, find one or two attorneys or somebody involved in the law, and do a program and do questions and answers. So I keep pretty busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are pretty busy.
I guess my favorite word is probably passion. Because whatever I'm involved with, I'm extremely passionate. And whether I'm going on a board or joining an organization or playing golf or on my boat or with my grandkids or my kids, to me, if you don't put everything into something, you really are leaving a lot on the table.
A Spanish word, lágrimas. It means tears.
I think kindness.
I can't or I won't, or that there's no ability to get something done.
Panties. See?
That would be, I think, hatred, for good reason.
Oh, I love the sound of my grandkids, especially when I wake up in the morning and they want to see Papa, and and I like the sounds of the quiet on the lake in the morning when I get up.
Laughter.
I like music of all types.
I guess probably the sound of a crashing metal, a car crash or something like that.
A leaf blower.
I don't like foul language. I don't like to hear people who use vulgar and crude language, because to me it means that their vocabulary is limited. Not that they're tough guys or tough people, they just have a limited vocabulary and there's no need to talk that way.
I guess I would say a couple of things. Certainly my family, and I'm passionate about my career in banking. But I think people probably really drives me. Everybody's different, everybody has something to offer, and to get the most out of relationships, to me, gives you great opportunities to expand your own horizons and learn a lot.
Music.
I am very happily married to my wife, and without using the turn on in the vernacular, we just have a great life together. We do a lot of things that we enjoy doing together.
I guess again that would be things like whining, complaining.
Bigotry.
I don't like meanness and cruelty and people that are rude and people that don't respect other people's lives or their quiet time or their space, or just the negative things we see all too often that are oftentimes featured on television.
I've always thought about if I wasn't a banker when I first started out, of all things I wanted to be a forest ranger or work in the forestry area, because I love the mountains, I love the lakes, and I thought it would be really fun to be involved in that kind of setting day to day, and being involved with all the activities that nature has to offer.
I love my job so much. I love my work. I can't imagine doing anything else.
I really enjoy the filming that I've been doing at Haverhill Community TV, the interview process that you're doing today, meeting people and talking to people and listening to people.
Probably anything where I was doing nothing but crunching numbers all day long. I mean, I do sit behind a desk, but dealing with different employees, different customers, different problems, different opportunities, and a whole variety of different types of customer and businesses, so it makes it very interesting.
I don't think I would make it as a construction worker, working outside under all elements of weather.
You know, I'm a money manager for Bain Capital, and we just did a $4.2 million buyout of a company. I wouldn't find any personal fulfillment or satisfaction in that. I'd say, so where's the happiness, where's the joy, where's the sense of, well, I really did something important.
I guess what I would like to hear is that you know, we're welcoming in someone that had integrity, that cared about people, that cared about the environment, and that really was someone that is worthy.
She will say, all are welcome.
Well, welcome, you did a nice job, and your family's up here waiting for you, and they're happy, proud of what you did as well. Doesn't mean you did spectacular things, it means that you did important things. You changed a couple people's lives, you reached out and helped a few people during difficult times. You gave somebody some support when they needed it the most. That sort of thing. That's really what it all comes down to. Not what was your portfolio when you died, you know. That old expression about the richest man in the cemetery, really.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. Part of what we do at Creative Haverhill is to identify, nurture, and promote our local talent. They make up today's and tomorrow's creative workforce that helps drive economic development. Throughout history, artists have always led the way in changing societies, and Creative Haverhill is leading that charge. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Just type in Creative Haverhill, you find us everywhere. Have a creative day. What is your favorite word?
Yes, I can.
What's your least favorite word?
That's impossible.
What turns you on?
Nature.
What turns you off?
Sports.
What sound do you like the most?
The ocean.
What sound do you like the least?
Boiling water.
What profession, other than your own, would you most like to attempt?
Working with the elderly.
What profession, other than your own, would you least like to attempt?
Finance.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you enter the pearly gates?
I've missed you.
Great.
And that's a 1926 Aaron's Fox fire truck. My grandfather was a firefighter in Lawrence, so I've always been a fire buff from the time I was a little kid. I remember looking at this fire truck as a kid, running down to the bottom of the street where we lived. I could not cross Main Street, that was verboten, but I could go to the end of Main Street, waiting for this fire truck to come up the street and see the firefighters sitting in the front of it because of the big silver ball. So, you know, the fact that a city like Haverhill has a firefighting museum, I don't think there's 10 firefighting museums in the state of Massachusetts. There are some in other cities, but this one is spectacular, and a lot of people aren't aware of it.
What makes it spectacular? What's unique about it?
History.